Good afternoon and happy Florida Bike Month, everyone. Welcome to the new Bike Tech and Safety webinar. My name is Sol, and while I'm a formerly trained urban planner, a lot of my background is in urban experience design. So that means I've been focused on how the infrastructure and policy decisions we make affect how we as humans experience our urban environments. I'm here today representing the TPA as a multimodal planner and as an avid bicyclist. I've had my fair share of long distance riding, but I mostly ride my bike to get around the cities that I live in and visit, including Boston, Amsterdam, Rome, Paris, and West Palm Beach. I'd like everyone to just take a moment while I have your attention to fill out our Bicycle Month survey. This survey helps us collect data about how Palm Beach County residents get around, just helps us plan and respond to those needs better. So using the QR code, please take a minute to fill out the survey. All right, on to the fun part. We're going to talk about bikes. So bikes really came up in the 1800s. The first version of the bicycle was a wooden structure that you would pedal with your feet. You can see it on the left hand image here. It was a pretty bumpy ride. You actually might still see your local toddler using a similar technology these days, but the bicycle tech has come a long way since, like this $10,000 Audi E mountain bike, for example. But let's get into some of the tech that's available for bikes. So some of the most valuable bike tech is actually the most simple. Having lights on your bike is critical to communicating your presence to other bikes, people, and motorists. So if you don't have them already, definitely want to get those on there. Next, I want to talk about helmet tech. We've come a long way in the last 5 to 10 years. So if you have a helmet that's older than that, it's definitely time to replace it. The two main technologies that are used in helmets these days are MIPS, which essentially is a low friction layer found inside the helmet, and it allows your helmet to slide in all directions. So if there's impact, the helmet can slide. And the intent here is really to redirect that rotational force and minimize its effect on your brain. A lot of big brands, big helmet brands carry this tech in their helmets. The other more exclusive or expensive tech is called wave cell. This also reduces the rotational force on your brain, but the technology can also absorb the actual impact of the collision. And this tech is actually only found on one brand of helmet. There is radar and camera technology that you can add to your bike. This helps you identify and monitor the vehicles moving around you. For example, it might warn you if a car is speeding up behind you, which is definitely very valuable, especially here in Palm Beach. We have e-bikes. They have boomed in popularity recently. These are battery-assisted bikes that come in 3 classes. The biggest differentiator in class is whether or not they have throttle and how fast they can go. Across the country, we're definitely seeing a lot of the Class 1 e-bikes. But here in Palm Beach County, you see a lot of the Class 2 e-bikes. Those are the ones that include the throttle. Those are really great for longer distances, especially in warm weather. Now, if you already have a bike and would like to add some electric assist, you can add a Copenhagen wheel. So this is basically adding electric power to your already analog, let's call it, bike. If you are using your bike in addition to a transit ride, whether it's a train or bus, a car ride, or you simply don't have a safe place to park your bike, a foldable bike would be a great option. They're really light and easy to transport around. If you need to haul more than yourself around, cargo bikes and trikes, trike is a bike with 3 wheels. Those can be a really great option. These are very popular in cities like Amsterdam, but they're gaining popularity all over the world, even here in West Palm Beach. Velomobiles or car e-bikes can protect you from weather and they have storage. So kind of look like a little miniature car, but they actually are powered in the exact same way that a e-bike would be. And you may look at these and say, yeah, sure, European people, go ahead. Go ahead with these weird looking things, but they're already here in Palm Beach. So the tech is kind of already on the way. And there's just so many options to get around these days. I wanted to shout out some of the OG micromobility modes that we are all very familiar with. But again, the tech here has come a long way. Here are just some of the few modes that are becoming more and more popular. You've got e-scooters and one wheels, e-unicycles, hoverboards, and we really are starting to see these all over the place. There are a lot more than this on the market, and there's a lot more coming. So all this tech is well and good and very exciting to see that we're getting very creative on how we move around. But we also want to talk today about how we can use this technology safely, especially here in Palm Beach County, where we know that Florida remains the most dangerous state for bicyclists in the country. And we have a few more things working against us, including that vehicle sizes, heights, weights are growing. That's making collisions between bicyclists and motorists more fatal. If you take a minute to look at the image on the left here, you can see how the newer vehicles are going to impact you higher in your body where all your vital organs are if you're hit by one. So definitely don't want to get hit by these newer, larger cars. And there's a lot that we can do as bicyclists to be as safe on the road as possible. Some are good habits and some are actually laws. So we're going to run through a few of those. The first thing you always want to do is make sure you do your ABC quick check before you ride. These simple inspections can save you a big headache when you're out on the road. So doing these simple checks is a must before even getting on your bike. The next thing you want to do is check your helmet. So you want to check to see that the distance between your eyebrows and the helmet is 2 fingers, that the straps are closed and form a Y, and that there's less than half an inch between your chin and the strap, so it's nice and tight. I also want to remind everyone that all bicyclists under the age of 16 have to wear a helmet. That's actually the law, so we want to keep our youth protected. And I know we already talked about bike lights, but I do want to remind you that having them at night is Florida law. And if you're riding at night, it's also very, very helpful to wear bright and reflective clothing. Just like a car, when you're on the road, you want people to know that you're there. You want to make yourself seen. And these are some of the tools that you can use to ensure that you safely get to where you're going. As a bicyclist, it's also your responsibility to make sure you're communicating to other riders, vehicles, and pedestrians what your intent is. You should use hand signals, bells, verbal cues to let others know where you're going. So here are just a few examples of hand signals and what people say a lot. For example, coming up on your left, just to warn people that you're coming up. If you do use the the sidewalk as a bicyclist, it's the law that you must yield to pedestrians as they have the right of way in these spaces. So if you're using them, just make sure you're riding carefully and that you're staying out of the way of pedestrians. When you're on a street with no bike lane, you should stay as far as the right as you're comfortable to allow vehicles to drive around you if they need to. And in a bike lane, depending on the size of the bike lane, you should either ride single file, or if the bike lane is wide enough, you can ride 2 abreast, but you really can't be in the space, as you can see on the left image here, you can't really be like taking over more than the bike lane allows. So in some of the more narrow bike lanes, especially that we have here in Palm Beach County, definitely need to ride in single file. On a shared use path, you can ride 2 or more abreast, those really wide, long paths. But just make sure that you're yielding to pedestrians when you're on the shared use path, as those are meant to be shared. If you're passing in a bike lane, you can safely go into the vehicle travel lane, obviously carefully making sure that you're not going near any cars and allowing at least 3 feet to pass on the other bicyclist. When making a left-hand turn, as a bicyclist, you may use the entire left lane to do so, but then as you're crossing the intersection, you need to stay to the right of the road that you're turning onto and stay on the right side of the road. So that's really important here for bicyclists and motorists to understand that left turn. You start on the left, end on the right. Motorists also have a great responsibility to ensure that bicyclists safely get to their destination. People on bicycles are just a lot more vulnerable than people in their cars. So as motorists, we also have a great responsibility to navigate the road safely, follow the Florida laws, so that our bicyclists in Palm Beach County are as safe as possible. So first, if you're passing a bicyclist, you must ensure that there's 3 feet of space between you and the cyclist. So you cannot go, less than that when you're passing a bicyclist. If you don't have space, you don't have space. You should not be passing within an inch of somebody if they're on their bike. When you're turning as a motorist, you have to leave at least 20 feet of space between you and a bicyclist. It doesn't matter if it's a large signalized intersection or a smaller unsignalized intersection, that 20 feet, you have to respect that. You can't cut off a biker. You have to make sure that that cyclist has enough space. Another law that's important to understand is if there's a large group of cyclists traveling together, they are allowed to travel in packs of 10 through an intersection, and then they need to stop. So cars need to wait for 10 cyclists to go through. The remaining cyclists would stop, and then the car is able to drive through the intersection. So 10 bikes, one car, 10 bikes, one car, and so on. And that wraps up the presentation. Again, here is our Bicycle Month survey. If you didn't already, please take a moment to scan the QR code with your smartphone and answer this short survey to help the Palm Beach TPA improve mobility here in Palm Beach County. Thank you so much.